Gentlemen,
Tyler?
how are you?
Good.
How
Yourself?
are you?
Good. Glad we were able to connect. You got the Wi-Fi situation all worked out?
We think so. How's it coming through?
It's good.
Okay, Best
Yeah.
Western Plus for the win. So
There you go. Yeah, I had a few consecutive podcasts where my Wi-Fi was just shit. And I called the company several times, moved it around my house, still didn't work. But this week it seems to be better. So it's kind of
is it
frustrating.
so it's like what you're receiving, it was just bad, like bandwidth
I
or something?
I guess so, because my upload and download speeds were great. I don't know why it wasn't recording. So maybe it was a Zoom thing. Everybody's using Zoom. I don't know. But
Well, if it makes you feel better, we're constantly plagued with technical difficulties, so we
yeah,
can absolutely relate.
yeah.
Yeah. Every meeting, starts with 5 minutes of it.
Yeah,
I'm very smooth for us. We're on a roll here.
Yeah, this is amazing.
that's good. Yeah, I definitely we'll talk about your meetings and how you're conducting those too. I mean, I don't want to go into it too much. I love your guys' business though. It's amazing.
Okay.
I just want to clarify, you're both SkyWest pilots?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys mind if I mention that in the podcast?
Go for it.
No?
Okay.
I was thinking that today, actually, because I know it's like a lot of people online are like, I'm a pilot at a U.S. airline.
Yeah. No, I mean,
But I'm like, I don't really care. I'm not doing anything like wrong that I know of.
have you found
yeah.
any issues with like talking about this stuff with like anonymity or any, or
No.
has that been an issue?
Hasn't been an issue. One of our other podcasts, the Furlough Friday podcast, we're typically drinking, and sometimes we throw a few cuss words out there, or dive into politics a little, even though I discourage it greatly. So on that show, just because it's very it's just like dudes sitting around a campfire drinking whiskey telling fart jokes, and a few airplane stories.
Brought to you by United.
Is this not
Brought to you by United.
To be clear, what are we on here for?
No, we'll keep this one a little more professional, but the point of the opportunity hours, I just love talking to small businesses. So just because I'm anything aviation related, definitely want to give you guys a voice too.
It's appreciated. It's appreciated to get a platform like that, and I think you're tapping into something that's really good. There's a lot of potential, I feel like, in our industry specific, because when I think our industry, I don't think tech savvy when it comes to like social media and things like that. And there's a lot of, if people have other ideas, and in particular as airline industry, we can have a lot of secondary jobs and we can do something effectively. So I see where you're going with this. It's a great idea. It's appreciated.
And that's one other thing too, and I was gonna bring it up after, but we can address it a little bit now too. I don't know if you guys have any interest. I think Love might have mentioned it to you. We would love for you guys to have a Project Greenwings podcast.
Yeah.
Sky Pirate, like, and we'll get into this too. I was looking. It looks like you have like a 3-phase system. The third phase of which is like the voice for sustainable aviation. Like, you guys can be all things eco-friendly in aviation. You guys can do, and you're already doing a lot of it, right? But like, you guys could be within aviation, like that legitimate, hey, I'm going to talk to the CEO of United because, they were doing something wrong that's quote unquote not kosher, right? Highlight the good and the bad. And, kind of take like a quote unquote journalistic approach to it. But under your name and everything, so that your brand grows, even though it might be a little bit outside of your brand.
No. That's exactly what we are kind of working towards right now. In fact, one of our projects, and we could get into this in the podcast as well, is to we're trying to organize in-flight recycling at a particular like Minneapolis airport right now, and it's been a process of going through the different channels of the airlines, the Minneapolis Airport Commission, and now the ground handlers, trying to document and blog about this experience with the intent of being like, hey, this is the buck stops at your plate and you guys are not helping out here. This is what we're going to put out here. We try to be positive and maintain like highlight exemplary things without and indirectly negatively pressure other companies into by showing the people who are doing well in the industry. So like navigating that experience and making it more transparent to the average airline member is a huge goal of what we're trying to do.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I mean, and obviously looking through your stuff, like you're essentially laying out a template on how everything works.
Yes.
Like, hey, you could do this, and I'm recording so I don't forget to hit record, but we're just gonna roll with it because the conversation. So like you're basically laying out the to-do list, and none of it is difficult. It's just like making a conscious effort. It's like there's actually a correlation there, being conservative and ecology wise also translates to economics, right? Like most everything you do saves a penny here, saves a penny there. Like it's multifaceted, beneficial in different regards. And it's like it's almost like the compounding interest formula. It's like everybody does a little bit, and then as it grows, it becomes a huge number down the road. So
exactly, yeah, that's one big thing for us. We try, like, when we pitch our idea to the airlines, we've got to make it look like how's it going to affect their pockets, because a lot of people think it's going to go the other way. Like if you don't know this stuff, you're like, to upgrade your materials so they're not so they are now recyclable or they're compostable, whatever, it's going to cost you money. But it's the other way around. It'll save you money in the long term. 100%.
We calculated, we were actually planning to speak with our airline and have a meeting with them right as the COVID outbreak was starting in March. So the meeting got canceled, but one of the initiatives that we wanted to talk to them about is if they even got, it's scalable. It scales from the smallest person just changing their behavior and like celebrating and catching that and growing that. It grows in a very organic way and it scales and business wise, it can scale. So everything's a framework right now, but we even calculated that if we could get just within our airline's operation, if we could get over a robust media campaign, like 25% of flight crew members to reduce their single-use water bottle consumption by 50%, that could save just shy of about 300,000 water bottles per year. And that's just within our airline. And those are pre-COVID numbers, to be fair. But we calculated it out, that would be almost like $80,000 potentially in savings on single-use water bottle products that they could either directly save, and our airline is a regional airline, or they could pass on to their mainline partners. So you're right. It's like it goes hand in hand. You have an airline organization that is trying to to teach responsible resource optimization. That's going to benefit the airline members, the airlines that are involved with that. So,
and it's such a hot topic in general that if you can quickly glance at an airline, whether it's on their social or whether it's just walking through their terminal or sitting on the airplane, and you see that they're taking those extra steps, people make a choice, and that's part of the decision-making process. So, that's a huge thing too. Have you guys, it may be too early, and especially like you said with COVID, can you define the impact that you had or are having or will have in an effort to give it to SkyWest, for example? Be like, hey, this is the defined amount of change that Project Greenwings has been involved with SkyWest alone, and then maybe have SkyWest help make you a brand from a marketing perspective, or not make you a brand, but get your voice out there a little bit more too.
Partner, yeah, like we would like to be distributed possibly, or like work on relationships where we can get exposure in exchange for providing data, a positive data of like number of water bottles saved or single-use plastic items. We're in the process of figuring out means to capture those metrics. There are certain ways to do it. One idea we kind of toyed with was affiliating with a company that would allow for QR code scanning, where you can, and it's limited every 15 minutes, but you could scan and say, so we can start counting and putting that on our own bottles, so we can start catching the number of water bottles saved, and then bringing this to, you know, the airlines and showing, because that's what's going to really influence their opinion, I think, is like if they can see where the numbers are starting to add up.
So that
make quantifiable, like we need their data as well. So it has to be like a kind of, it goes both ways. We can do the research, but they have all the numbers. Like we have, our assumptions are based on one of those designing water bottles costing 75 cents. Like they're obviously buying them in bulk. So that was like one of our guesses there. We don't have the exact numbers at the moment. They seem willing to work with us, but it's just a matter of like finding the right people in the organization.
Sure. You mentioned QR codes. Do you have a specific company you're working with in that regards, or just kind of brainstorming that as an idea?
Idea we were toying with. The company is called Fill It Forward. And the idea for them is you put the QR code on your water bottle, and every time you fill it up, you scan the QR code with your app. And then I'm pretty sure then they provide like that equivalent amount of water to an area in, I think it was somewhere in Africa, but I'd have to double check that.
Okay.
Some sort of developing country around the world. So the idea, and to not exploit it, you have like you can't refill it every 15 minutes. So you can't just be sitting there scanning it and like, I drank 3,000 water bottles today.
There's some limits on it, yeah.
Sure.
But that's definitely in phase 2 of our like kind of framework we're trying to lay out for this organization.
Yeah, let's talk about those 3 phases real quick.
Yeah, so we have the phase 1, which is our grassroots plan, and this is where we are now primarily. And the big focus of the grassroots program is just getting established, like getting a foundation within the industry. And the way we can do that is just by getting people on board, people, like-minded individuals who care about sustainability and aviation, and get them all kind of communicating to start, just be a voice of communication between these different organizations that are, or individuals that want the same thing. And then as we do that, start gathering data and statistics. We have within our airline, we can use social media to pull members of our airline in particular bases and groups and ask them questions. And like we've used Facebook actually to organize polls that we ask people about. So gathering that data and then spreading that word, like with social media, almost as like an education platform. We can use it to spread newsletters about how like what is actually recyclable versus what is not, or, you know, like who's making great strides in sustainability in the industry. From there, as we do that, we also sell products that like reusable water bottles. We want to extend out to create like eco kits that have like, you know, soap boxes, items like that, and
reusable cutlery, and kind of like ethically sourced and sustainably sourced. And ideally, we're pulling it. We're speaking to a flight attendant now who has a little side business, and she like sells this stuff as like a side hobby. So we're trying to use it through her. So we're trying to like boost other people up in the industry as well, because there's already like a lot of other people doing like great work. So if we can highlight their work through Greenwings as well, that's kind of like the foundation of phase 1.
Yeah, and so using that from like a scaling perspective, we can kind of hopefully use proceeds from selling that thing, and 10% of the proceeds of every purchase goes towards a conservation fund. We've selected about 3 or 4 of them that we really like, and you can choose which one that it goes to, or you can do a carbon offset program when you buy that stuff. But that will hopefully fund the next phase, which is where we become the airline ally. We're starting to really get the attention through social media, through podcasting and other forms of you know, media disbursement, to get recognition from airlines and start showing them the benefits of what would it be like to have, you know, an airline organization that's or a flight crew organization that's dedicated to optimal resource management, like we mentioned earlier. So hopefully, and one of the items on there is create a Greenwings app. If we can get some funding to possibly build an app where you get, you know, points, and if we can like ally with airlines, we could potentially set up incentive programs like okay, you use your reusable water bottle 5 times in flight, that the flight attendant scans it, you get free Wi-Fi for a particular flight or something like that. Some kind of like basic incentive thing that's also capturing the positive data. So like a rewards program and a streaks program. These are all the things that, you know, get people to play Candy Crush. You could try to use some of these like same tools to nudge people into a more eco-friendly behavior.
So when you're talking about the app thing of it, you might not even have to go the whole route of a robust app per se.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to find like a developer to do like the back end side of it and do an API to where the airline's existing apps, the consumer facing apps, for example, would already have that as part of the app because they're already in the app as they're walking through the airport.
They're boarding passes through the app and things like that. Yeah.
Build it into the existing infrastructure of other platforms. Yeah. So this is definitely an area we need to start kind of fleshing out, like idea wise. But
that is down the track, and that is like once we have that airline backing, because the big thing is like we get the support from the airlines. We can help them with policy changes, research and education. We can help them with like cost savings, resource optimization, like we were saying earlier. But from them, we get access to all their pilots and flight attendants. We get a platform to reach out through, whether it's through whatever like airline internal like airline website that airline uses. And we're getting a much greater audience through that as well. And this stuff, it's contagious. So like you see more people doing it, eventually it becomes the norm. And then every flight attendant's recycling, everyone's bringing water bottles, or like most people. We're never going to capture everybody. But that's kind of the goal there with the airlines.
And so, and through that process of now becoming, you know, a partner to the airlines and also becoming a legitimate flight crew organization that has a good following and is putting out good little educational nuggets on, you know, through various platforms, we can start being that voice of the sustainable aviation within the industry, which is our third phase. So we're an established partner of multiple airlines in this situation. We've become the liaison between airlines, environmental impact groups, and the government. And we can really push, once we have the ear of quite a few people, we could really push for major industry efforts and changes, and hopefully be a liaison between all of these groups that can, like, you know, voice their concerns, that can be actually heard, and kind of work towards solutions in, you know, with much bigger budgets and, you know, more moving actors in the picture. That's obviously, you know, we're not there yet.
But, way down.
But what's nice is it's scalable. You can scale at each level. Like it starts with the individual. Like it literally just started with me and him having this idea. And then it's not like, you know, we're geniuses. We're like,
what the opposite?
Yeah, the opposite. Exactly.
Well, essentially, it's a hobby and a passion turned into a nonprofit, right? And you guys, from what I can tell, looking from the outside in, you're doing everything correctly right. Like you are right now dealing with the touch points that you guys can actually get your hands on. Like you can't walk into the headquarters at United and tell the CEO that he needs to be carbon neutral by 2050 or whatever. But, you know, obviously I will kind of touch on that later, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. We don't have like,
you got a step-by-step plan to get, like, I will not be surprised if I'm watching the news in 8 or 10 years and Project, you know, XYZ airline is meeting with Project Greenwings, you know, for their sustainability project. You know what I mean? Like large scale, but you guys are doing it. It looks like exactly how you should be doing it. It's impressive to see. And I like that you guys have that 3-phase program because you've essentially laid it out, your vision going forward. And it's organized and you have a script to work off, and it's basically you know, a plan of attack going forward.
Yeah, and pre-COVID, it was surprisingly how quick SkyWest jumped on board with the idea. And we had a meeting lined up down in like their headquarters with like some of the big wigs, and we were like, wow, we thought it would take a lot longer, but they were behind the idea. They were all for it. They were getting external pressures to be more like the corporate social responsibility is becoming huge, or at least definitely was pre-COVID. And once COVID hopefully goes away, 2021, 2029, whenever we're done with this stuff, that's going to come back. And if you look at a lot of like the forecasts for the predictions for like what is big as far as like in business in the next like year or two, like corporate social responsibility is it's predicted to have that big uprising again.
Yep.
Yes.
It was kind of cool to see how quick they jumped on board, and we're trying to like negotiate with them to kind of get down there and like talk about how we can move going forward now as we're coming hopefully towards the end of the pandemic.
Right. But I can imagine from their perspective, they're trying to figure out how to survive this economically speaking, and stuff like this might have dropped off the top page or the front page.
You have to meet basic needs before you can start worrying about like global needs. You got immediate, which makes sense, I
think Maslow had something to do with that back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say you drop down to your Maslow's hierarchy at this point. Let's keep a house or a roof over our heads. But if you take those take the COVID out of the news stream on a list of things that are important in people's lives, and this disappears in like the immediate crises, that sustainability is still there. People are like this information of our impact on the world is really starting to sink into our culture on a much deeper level, where it's just becoming ubiquitous. So it kind of just fuels itself. And I just to say, really appreciate those kind words too. It's good to hear that like it sounds right from an outside perspective, because we only have each other to reference sometimes.
Well, you like a lot of people try to boil the ocean, right? Mm-hmm. Like you could be like, all right, you could be like, all right, guys, we're in phase 3 right now. Like that's just all you want to do is phase 3, but no one ever thinks, how do you get there? And you guys, it looks like you guys kind of figure that out. So
an example of that is like we were saying, we want the airlines to properly recycle, and at the moment there is a miscommunication and there is a kind of a lack of effort on various points along the process. But for us, we're like, let's just focus on Minneapolis Airport. Let's focus on SkyWest Delta at the moment, because that's like Delta hub, and we'll try and make like a template for that, and then go from there once we figure it out. But at the moment, you're just you're getting sent from one person to the next person, and every single person's kind of like, I've done my job. But at the end of the day, nothing's getting recycled. So
is it just you two right now?
It's we got like a team of, I'd say 6.
I think we have about maybe total like 25, 30 members. We started about a little over a year ago, I suppose. And then we just kind of got sidelined with that, with the outbreak. But yeah, it's, I would say really active members. The mostly are within SkyWest, but we're in a process right now of actually branching out to reach out to some mainline friends and people who like supporters through where go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. That's just what I was thinking when you were like, we're in, SkyWest in Minneapolis right now. It's like, so this is such an important topic for so many people. It seems like you guys could essentially, and I use this term relatively speaking, with minimal effort, get quote unquote teammates, whatever you want to call them, volunteers in each location at each airport, just to be a representative of Project Greenwings at the lowest level. Talk to the gate agents, talk to TSA, just have conversations with them and make recommendations and get feedback, and they come back to you and report to you, and you guys, if you're like, okay, Boise, Idaho, they're doing great, right? So we can highlight them and talk about what they're doing well. And then when you find another airport in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I don't know if they're good or bad. I don't know if any of these airports are good or bad. But you're like, okay, they're doing a shit job. Yeah. And instead of maybe publicly embarrassing them, you could still be like, hey guys, you've got Boise, Idaho, a similar size airport. They're doing this. Let us know if you would like us to,
brainstorm some ideas for you.
Yeah, what's working for other airports? Why would that be a challenge for like bringing it to a different airport? Like, have that like template of like what's working. People have done it, like especially on the West Coast, like Pacific Northwest, like
sure.
San Francisco this morning.
Amazing. Yeah, San
Francisco. At SF this morning, they had 2 compost bins and a recycling bin, and like so, there's no trash.
Liquid
and
waste.
I was trying to put my coffee cup in the trash, and I had to compost it because it was compostable, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like obviously, Grand Rapids, Michigan probably isn't going to be at that level yet. They don't have the kind of funding, they don't have the kind of drive, but just kind of figuring out slowly, but like what's working, but having people everywhere is huge, and we're getting more and more people that are like really into it. Like a core 6 to 8 right now we're having like meetings with, and like they're spending a lot of their free time as well trying to get this off the ground. So that's been really huge for us, and that team's just ever growing. The more the merrier.
That's the part of it that's that we're really hoping to do too, and that we think a lot about is like, how do you get people to effectively change their minds? Because there's some resistance to this still, you know? Like, how do you get someone to care about something like the planet when they're focused on just going to work and, you know, like just getting through the day and, you know, like bringing conscious thought into that. And the trick is you don't just debate them blue in the face, you know, by just being like, this is why it matters, and just throw, you know, negative statistics in their face, and just like, that maybe works for a percentage of people. But the thing that I feel like really gets people to change their behavior is when their environment changes and it becomes more common. Like I think about my dad, like, who used to make fun of yoga all the time. Like 15 years ago, he's like, yoga's for girls. And then he lives in like a relatively like semi-conservative area, but over the course of the past 15 years, yoga studios have popped up. So it's more references.
He's back serving all the time.
He's got lower back pain. And so now he's doing yoga. And I was, it's amazing to me to think about it. If you were to remove the variables, what is the thing that changed that person's mind? And it was the environment. Like it just became, it became less of an thing to have resistance against, because it becomes more common. It's a cognitive bias it's cognitive dissonance. If you're not used to something, you have more resistance because it's new versus something that's familiar and open, and then you become more open to it. So that's the goal that we can do by having representation around the states is in different domiciles, is like, we can start highlighting and making this more ubiquitous, and it's more in everybody's face. It's like, now there is this person at this airport, or, you know, or this presence on my social media stream that is constantly, you know, putting this thing into the picture. And maybe I don't respond to the first 3 examples of it, but then when I start just seeing it regularly, I might have less resistance to it. And we're hoping that's how you can start putting a positive pressure. I keep saying positive pressure, but like a pressure by highlighting exemplary behavior on the people who aren't doing that yet, in order to foster, you know, movement in that direction.
You know, it's kind of like, it's one of those things where, and you're talking about environment. I don't think you were talking about the ecological environment, but the environment that we live our lives in, whether it's, you know, your home or the airport, the airplane. It's kind of, an organization like yours can lower the barriers to entry to change your habits, right? Like you said, you know, the compost pile and the recycling pile. So it makes it easier for people, whether or not they're opposed to adaptation based on thought processes or motivation level or ignorance, right? And like, ignorance isn't even a bad thing. It's just, you don't know any better, right? Until you know. So it's one of those things, you know, it's just like all these social issues going on in the world. Like, I'm just going to start with treating everybody I come in contact with respect, right? Like, I don't care about anything else. Like, you're nice to me, I'm gonna be nice to you. Nothing else matters. So, and it's kind of like what you guys are doing. Like, hey, there's a piece of paper on the floor, I'm going to pick it up, or, you know, I'm going to throw my cardboard cup in the right bin. So you don't have to knock down coal factories. You know, we're not doing it, right? Like,
we're not throwing.
We're not gonna create wind farms because we're pilots, but you know, it's like, we can do these small things. So that's
Yeah, and it starts like little things. Like I started this in my own personal life a few years ago, and just like tiny little changes, and they're not hard, but the more you do, it's kind of get an intrinsic value to do it. It feels good. Like I put the thing in the right bin, and I'm like, look at me, I'm a little superstar over here. It's not hard, but it does take like a cognitive effort to actually think about it. And if you're not thinking about that stuff at all, then you're just not going to do it. And that's kind of where we want to come in. We want to like just be that little voice in the back of someone's head. I don't want to be nagging, a little positive voice.
And to make this stuff real to people, like in meaningful ways, you know, like to show, like we calculate. So our airline went from having paper releases, you know, printing out per every flight, the pilots receive about 20 pages of paper, giving you all the information about that flight and everything involved with it, all the performance and weather. And our airline went digital and got iPads and electronic flight bags. And we calculated over the course of, and these are just ballpark figures, you know, this is not us having access to their information, but just knowing on average they had about 2,500 flights per day pre-COVID. It saved something like 18 million pages of paper per year. And then we figured out that that equates to something like 40 acres of like forest per year or something like that. And like I will get you a better statistic for that later, but like that's something that and we're playing with conservative figures though. So putting that into perspective where people can, you know, it's like, it's one thing to know about, you know, like how much waste is being, but like, how do these numbers start to actually mean something to the person in a relative framework that makes sense to them, where it's like, oh, actually that's a huge, you know, like that many trees because of this piece of paper, because of, you know, us printing that makes it real. And that's another component of what we want to do through our outreach is like, how do we put these in like fun little infographics, maybe not so fun sometimes, but you know, that like it makes it sink in for people.
Yeah, the infographics are awesome. They're easy to read, clearly defined. Yeah. Which one of you guys does that?
Mostly Jordan, but then he's taught me how to do it.
He's getting on board. We're kind of learning we're doing a lot of learning these days. Learning, you know, photo design, infographic design, like I need to do a little bit more on data science. I need to start brushing up on, and website designing. He's done a lot on the website, and
we almost know how to build a website. I would say we're this close. And you move one thing, it changes everything else. But I did you probably know. And it was kind of one of those, like, we had a lot of spare time in this job. You're very fortunate that you sit in the hotel and it's like, all right, do I watch Netflix for 4 hours and watch like The Crown or something, or do I try and like build a website and like little things like that? And that's kind of what got me into it as well. You have all this free time that I wasn't utilizing it at all.
Yep.
I was like, I can do something better with this.
Yeah.
Yep. We I mean, that's basically what the opportunity hour is all about too. Like, you know, a lot of, with COVID especially, people are scared, right? And I'm not necessarily talking about being scared of COVID in this conversation, but they're scared, how am I going to feed my families?
Yep.
Right. And there's a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurs out there to go into e-commerce or whatever they want to go into, even with a small investment, right? The other piece of the puzzle, and I'll bet you guys can probably attest to this, is the mental health side of being motivated to work on a project, right? Like, you guys probably spend 18 hours a day thinking about Project Greenwings in one capacity or another, right?
Never quite off the brain ever. Yeah.
It's never off the brain. So, you know, but there's like, while there might be stress associated with that, I'll bet you it's having a very positive impact on your mental state of mind in the midst of the uncertainty that COVID brings. So
that's a great point, actually, that I don't think enough people, especially that are just absorbing news and getting really stressed out. It's like having something that you're doing that provides some intrinsic value, something that you're like, Oh yeah, I feel good. It's like, it's the same thing as like going to, no one wants to go running or exercise in the morning at like 5 a.m. But like after you do it, you're like, I'm glad I did this. So and having something like that as a source of that you're in something that you're interacting with, that everything you put into it is, for lack of us knowing any worse, like helping in some degree, is it's really good for your mental health, like to have a kind of a positive influence. At least I'm speaking from my perspective.
Yeah, 100%, I agree.
Yeah.
It's good to, like, if not the intrinsic value, at least a distraction from these current times as well. Like, it gives you something to focus on and it just feels productive. And when you do like pull something off, it feels good.
Yep.
Like, it's cool. And it's because this job, we're sitting in airplanes and you got a 3-hour flight, 2.5 hours that is staring out a window.
Yeah.
And that's an awesome view, but it gets old pretty quick. So you gotta keep that brain active.
100%.
But you make a great point too, that, like, it's a great time for entrepreneurs who have an idea that's something like that. Like, if we can all agree on one thing, is that we can't agree on everything, and that there's a lot of negativity out there. So if you can spot a solution to a problem or a business idea that incorporates something that people can feel good about, and not like a phony good, like something like, when I spend my money on this, I know that someone is benefiting or it's helping someone else, like that. I feel like every business, I wish, did some component of that where even in the direct sales of something, a portion of that is diverted to do something that people care about and can actually derive real meaning from, instead of just like, okay, I've got the latest, video game or whatever it is, and I think people are recognizing that. Businesses and entrepreneurs are recognizing that you should have this kind of triple bottom line. Is my product good for my investors? Is it good for my customers? Is it good for the community? Is it good for the environment? And like, if you can build something that checks all those boxes, then now is the time to do it.
100%.
Things are resetting.
How the impact that COVID had on you guys in Project Greenwings, net positive, net negative?
It put us back like 9 months, I would say, because like we said, the airlines went into cost savings mode. We had more time to work on stuff, but we couldn't really make anything happen more than outside of our own lives. I took like 3 months off work.
To be perfectly honest, I got kind of like, we were just about to have a meeting with the airline, and I got a little demotivated as this was happening. And, like, I think we were all in a little bit more of a fear state. So like, even if not consciously, like at least across the community, there's a lot more panic than there was now about this situation. Yep. So definitely became unproductive for a little bit in this process. Jackson made like a thing like, oh, we're becoming clean wings. We're going to focus on this. We'll be back and check in later.
I was going to ask about that post. That was back in what, like February or March, right?
That was just our
April
first
or March. Yeah. That was right after everything just kind of halted, and
everything went back to like single use because everyone was worried about the germs of reusable. And everyone was scared. It was a scary time. I've never watched so much news in my life. Hopefully never will again.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, especially at first, we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yep.
But something that popped me out of it is actually, I came across an article about, it was like a consensus of like 250 health experts and virologists that were looking at the impact of using a reusable water bottle versus a single-use water bottle, and like, what are the actual risks associated with how differently are these things holding viruses or spreading? How do they affect transmission rates? And it was relatively like favorable towards reusable water bottles in particular, because if you think about it, you have a reusable water bottle that you're bringing from home, and you go on a flight and you're using the contact-free refill station. The whole time the water bottle is under your control. You can cover it, you can clean it. If you are responsible and hygienic, you have full control over that water bottle. versus
And you're not going to touch another man's water bottle.
No, it would.
Nah.
Yeah, it's already kind of gross
that's
to
the
people.
rule.
Yeah. So it's like versus like you receiving a single use water bottle that you don't know how many hands that's been on, or where it has been sitting in a shipping container, or where has that been? You lose control over the situation of like where exactly it's been from a viral standpoint, from a lot of ways. So that was one of the, like, I read this article and that really inspired me, and I was like, this is actually a prime opportunity to bring this thing back up. And that was probably like midsummer. We redesigned the website and started getting our steam again.
Yeah, we'll try and do what we can with like the limited ability of like communication we have with outside of ourselves. And then now it seems to be definitely picking back up, and it seems to be kind of in full swing again. So we're pretty excited about that.
People are adapting, and they want to get back to their worlds, and with the hope of a vaccine that they, if this does go through and it's successful, then this is something that matters to people still a lot, and so we should be in a good position to empower people that want to be that want to get active in this. And it doesn't take, like you said, it's scalable to it doesn't take the barrier to entry is not prohibitive. You can pay, you could support an organization, you could donate, you could just simply try to use a reusable water bottle, or like make sure something ends up in the recycling, hang on to that trash, or don't ask for that, you don't want that cookie on the flight or whatever. Just introduces that conscious thought into the process, and that's really it. As soon as you get people just thinking about stuff, then it really takes over. I noticed, like, I can bring you a reusable water bottle. What else can we do up in the flight deck? We can use less of the printer paper. We can try to sort our recyclables. We can use rechargeable batteries in our flashlights and noise canceling headsets. The flight attendants can be careful about how that when they open bags, where they place it, they can use it for a further flight, versus if like the handling services or the catering services are just going to throw it, they have control over that relationship to some degree. So everybody can do something, It's not just flight crew members, it's anyone that's like flying, or any passenger, or just going through life. It's just like once you start thinking about it, you think about where you can do it everywhere.
Would your airline be open? The pamphlets in the seat back of a chair, right? A Project Greenwings pamphlet that how to travel in an eco-friendly manner. Just like some of your infographics that you've put up on social. Sure. Make a quarterly pamphlet that you swap out every, I don't know. I'll bet you the airline would be willing to fund it, or at least split it with you.
Yeah, I feel like
we haven't thought of that.
That's a fantastic idea, actually, Tyler.
Welcome aboard, by the
way. but that would be so great for disseminating information, because it would also benefit the airlines and the mainline partners that we have, because it is encouraging environmentally friendly practices that they can show that they are being green to the public and their investors and their public, and then they're encouraging through the process overhead savings, through like what they're going to save if the passengers refill their reusable water bottle at the airport instead of like using their inventory to supply them. That's a fantastic idea, Tyler.
Don't forget that.
Yeah. You're recording this, right?
Oh yeah. We talked about COVID, and that's obviously an unforeseen challenge for any business. When you guys got this thing going, were there any unforeseen challenges that you did not anticipate?
Good question.
I mean, we've been learning how to do everything on our own, so kind of just how much work it is. Because we're pilots. I did a Bachelor of Business, majored in entrepreneurship as well. I didn't really utilize any of that until like I started this. So it was like an 8-year hiatus between school and this.
I think they call this the School of Hard Knocks.
Say again?
I think they call this the School of Hard Knocks.
This is the School of Hard Knocks. We are getting our face full here.
Like when we started this, we were both looking for like something that people were already doing. Like, surely someone's already started this, and we were more happy to just join and give them our money, and then like wipe our hands clean. But it didn't exist, so then it just became like more and more ideas led to like things getting done.
The hardest barrier to entry is ourselves, and like every time we have a great idea, we're like, oh, we have a great idea. Okay, we need to learn all the tools and steps to do that process, and absorb the skill set, or find someone, recruit people that know how to do this. And so it's the problems, the barriers to entry are just like the capacity at which we can learn and grow, basically. And it's like you said, it's a school of hard knocks. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of learning, and we're professionals in a completely different industry than this, and we're doing this on our side time. We're still dedicated aviation professionals. So, just the amount of work for sure, but it's a good problem. The problem is the challenge that that's what we're tackling. It's like inertia.
And sometimes you got the time for it, and you got like 3-hour sits in airports, and you got long overnights and stuff. And sometimes you're working 12-hour days, 4 days straight, and you're just tired. And then on the weekend, you just want to like play golf, go for a surf, like whatever it may be. And then you're still trying to find time to just at least like keep it in the routine a little bit. And that's kind of been big for me. Is I try and get up and get it all done early, if I'd have the day off, and then like hopefully I've done like most of the stuff I need to do by like 10:30. So like the rest of the day I can go and enjoy myself. You got to put like barriers on how much time you do spend, because I mean, you creating something like this, there's infinite amount of work to do. You could put 40 hours in a week on top of our normal jobs, and you still wouldn't even get close to scratching the surface of what we want to achieve eventually.
Yep.
So bringing more people in to help has been huge, and then kind of creating those barriers for yourself of like, all right, I'm done for the day. Go spend time with the wife. Go do something else.
I'm very fortunate to have a hyper-productive wife who knows way too much about what the current or not too much, but she knows exactly what's going on. She's like, hey, have you done this and this and this? I'm like, oh, no, I should be doing that. You're absolutely right. She's actually managing our social media right now on Instagram. So
she's been huge.
Yeah, she's upped our game for sure. But
and I noticed it looks like you've only been quote unquote faithfully or consistently executing on LinkedIn for about a month or so.
I wouldn't even say that. That's just auto reposting from Instagram.
Yeah,
so we haven't
minimal efforts. We need to.
So LinkedIn, the organic reach on LinkedIn is very, very easy. Your content will be seen by more people on LinkedIn than any other platform. It makes it really, and I'm learning this with the Sky Pirates. You're essentially you're doing B2C with all the other platforms, right? The B2B side of the house, where you'll get noticed by the airlines and the executives, is on LinkedIn, because that's where they're all at. And you can be like for example, on this podcast, I'm gonna post the YouTube channel, and I'm gonna do tag you guys in the post, but it looks organic, right? It has your name, but it's highlighted, so you just click on it. It's super simple. It's organic. It doesn't take away from the content of the post. And then just organically, everybody that we're all affiliated with see it. And I've been very surprised with the organic reach that LinkedIn offers.
We've got to branch out into that, because pilots, no one really uses LinkedIn for like aviation jobs. I mean, there's 5 airlines in the US. Really see, everyone wants to know about that, and they're not on LinkedIn being like, we're hiring now. Like, when they're hiring.
Don't look at LinkedIn as a job search platform. It is a social media platform.
Okay.
Legit.
Yeah.
And maybe it filters some of the stuff that you get on that's, not so professional out of, the other social media platforms.
How is it on LinkedIn? Do you find anyone giving like, is it like the other social media platforms where people are giving their 2 cents?
I don't see that at all.
I thought everyone has to appear more professional. This is like,
it's very professional, very non-divisive. It's It's a great place to be. I love it. I'm learning to love it.
Yeah, I heard in a previous podcast that you did also that you were a fan of TikTok as well.
Yeah, I'm hooked on
True,
TikTok, but not the business side.
Okay. So that's
but yeah, no, TikTok has a lot of organic reach too, because both platforms are essentially trying to build their viewership and hook people. So it's easier to get your content seen. Whereas like Facebook and Instagram, for example, those are mature platforms and the marketers are there already. So, you know, they're now, if your account on Instagram, you're a metric for Instagram to use as a marketing tool to, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? And eventually TikTok will be the same and LinkedIn will be the same. But right now it's kind of a free for all for content and information and get your message out.
Okay.
We got to expand.
We do. We have to adapt with the times.
Before all of this, I mean, we were trying to get off the social media platforms because you just get sucked in.
Can be
I spent 4 hours watching who knows what on what, like, just complete waste of time sometimes. But we're trying to figure out, like, it can be a useful tool. And that's what we're trying to learn now.
You can use it as a tool and decouple it from the things that we find stressful or less meaneful. That's it. And it sounds like LinkedIn is a distilled version of that in some way.
And less like snowboarding videos and more.
I don't know if TikTok, but TikTok
is the opposite of that.
But it has because it's at the level of like kind of the teenager and the younger demographic. Gen Zs are paying attention to that, and that will mature probably with them. You know?
And honestly, like, that generation cares more about the environment than our generation, or at least my generation. You know, so you can put content on TikTok. You know, it's not all booty dancing. Like, you can make it.
We can make some booty dancing.
We got we'll figure something out. Yeah. No, but you raise a good point. Like, it's a good place to put content and get the other ears, and you get better at it. You know.
And you can recycle a lot of the stuff. So TikTok, 15-second videos and 60-second videos. So if you're already making video content, you can recycle it, just reformat a little bit and just put it on TikTok too. Like, it's 20% more work because you've already done the work once. You know what I mean?
That's a fantastic point.
We'll plug in Danny, our social media manager.
And we want to do things where we're showing flight crew members in social media, just giving their quick tips, like, you know, like a flight attendant, and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so with Greenwings, and I always bring reusable, or I always prep my own food, and I bring it on every one of my 4-day trips. And I save this much money, and these are my recipes or something.
I stack my cups to save room in the trash bag or the recycling bag, whatever it may be. Just tiny little tips, and like, that's definitely something to think about going forward.
Thanks for these ideas. These are fantastic ideas.
Dude, I'm telling you, I just like to talk about it. So I don't know if these ideas are good or bad, but when I have them, I'm like, I'm just going to share them and do with it what you will.
There is no bad idea.
There is not. And that's one component of our website. If you go to the green practices page on projectgreenwings.com, there is an area where you submit your own ideas, and it goes into a database. And like, that's what's probably the funnest part for me, is when I'm working with crew members and talking about the idea. They're like, oh, what if we did this? What if we use rechargeable batteries? Or like, what if we, you know, go get coffee in the lobby at the hotel instead of use those single-use service packs? Like, everyone always has like a new idea.
Which is where these ideas came from in the first place. Like, we maybe thought of 5 or 10. And then, like, we're not doing them all at first.
But like, being a voice, a hub or a repository for this stuff, where this, you know, someone can actually put an idea into this and we can reflect it like that. The idea for rechargeable flashlight batteries, we heard that for the first time maybe a week ago with a co-pilot I was flying with. He's like, I do this every time. We took a picture of him. We're going to feature him on social media. And
awesome.
If you're someone who's interacting with an organization, and you see that what you just did, you know, and like taking a simple picture actually goes out there, you can feel really good about yourself. And we want to be that voice for everybody, you know, where they can throw in a good idea, and if it's like, it could get featured, you know.
Awesome. Like I said, I love what you guys are doing. It's exciting. Is is there anything that our network or myself can do to help out?
I mean, you're doing it now as well, like highlighting us, giving us ideas. I mean,
you should join. You can join. We have memberships. We have like 3 or 4 tiers of memberships, that like, and you don't have, it doesn't always doesn't have to be a monetary thing, but if you do monetary, your proceeds go to a donation. You could join some of our meetings, we're going to start organizing meetings with new prospective members or people that are interested. Maybe we can organize something like live streams of things like that. But anyone that's interested can go to projectgreenwings.com and become a member, or just reach out to us. Email us, info@projectgreenwings.com.
Follow us on social media.
Yeah.
And then spread the word. If you know someone else that could be have good ideas, send them our way.
Yep.
Someone doing something in this area, in this industry, similar to us. Yeah, we'd love to collaborate. We'd love to hear what they have to say.
Do you guys have any swag?
Yeah, we do.
We in general as humans, or to sell?
Oh, no, you obviously have human swag, but I mean, and I know you've got the mugs, but do you have t-shirts or anything?
We don't. We've looked into, I was thinking tote bags because I take my reusable bags grocery shopping, things you can use in your everyday life. We haven't really looked into t-shirts yet. We brainstormed the idea a while ago. We haven't followed through with it.
We have luggage tags, and we have crew luggage tags, and we have lanyards right now, and of course the reusable water bottle. But we actually just brought on a member, a flight attendant who would organize a stall at her local farmer's market to sell discounted reusable cutlery and things like that. She just came on board. She's a flight attendant, and she's very eco-conscious, and so we're working with her to expand the ideas of different products to promote and kind of start spreading that word. And whether that's t-shirts and promotional materials, but that's something we want to expand into, but also these eco kits, customizable eco kits that everyone could bring on a trip with them. If you're going on a flight, grab your eco kit that's got a reusable water bottle. It's got
we're trying to we're in talks right now with those Stojo cups. Have you seen them, the collapsible coffee cups?
No.
I got one. My wife got one for Christmas, and this is how lame I am now, but I was so excited by this. I was taking photos in the flight deck with it and stuff.
Awesome.
We've got an affiliate program with them. We just reached out to them, and they were on
board,
to help donate. But that's something that I'm already using, and I can stand by. It's awesome.
It's an exciting component of it, this affiliate side of things, because a lot of businesses make these eco-friendly items too, and they want to promote into different industries, and they can partner with us, and we can be kind of a voice into a potential new market, and so promoting and affiliating with these groups that are making better and better items, that's part of it too. So as far as current swag, we got the water bottle and the bag tag, luggage tag, lanyard, but that will be changing.
Pins are coming soon for flight attendants too, and pilots if they want to wear them.
Yeah, for apparel and flight bags and things like that. But we that's an area we're focusing on too.
So just a thought, and one thing I like to do on this show is promote people that I've already had on, and I'll definitely promote you guys in the future as well.
Thank you.
I did I'm not wearing this shirt to promote Cloud Certified. I just happened to wear it. I did their podcast last week. It's a Frontier pilot. Him and his wife are just trying to build an aviation brand, and his brother too. Really? But it's they're not necessarily going down the eco side of the house. They just they're more of the instructional side, fuel that passion for the younger generation. But maybe they could do maybe y'all could talk and have a Project Greenwings line of t-shirts, just it'd be no skin off your back in the sense of effort and work. You just provide them the logos and kind of go from there, and you wouldn't have to
have a bunch of logos.
Another fantastic idea, and that's supporting an aviation professional, supporting the community. Great idea. Yeah. we do have lots of like logos and things ready to send out. So maybe we could work on a design with them.
Yeah. So if you want, going forward, you guys have my number. Just reach out and I'll facilitate that intro, and let you guys go from there. Before we wrap it up, is there any question that I did not ask that you wish I would have, or something specific you want to talk about before we call it a wrap?
Not that I could think of. You got anything?
No, just knowing for the people that are listening that like it may seem like this far-fetched idea and this like organization or thing, but it's like it's just you. It's like it's you just thinking about what you can do to make a little bit of difference. It feels good to make the right decision. It takes a little extra effort, but it will reward you in the process of trying to be more environmentally friendly. It's and it's just if you're interested, please reach out. And we really appreciate what you're doing, Tyler. Like you're connecting a community of people that maybe don't know how to connect through certain forms and channels, and
we didn't have to do Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
In our job, so we're all learning Zoom now. This is good.
Yep.
So just anything to support, us or the community, like is great, because that actually doing things within a community is a really healthy way to operate. But nothing else than that. But thanks for having us on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, man. Likewise. I saw the Under the Influencer episode you guys did with Love, and I'm glad that we were able to get you on this show too.
Yeah.
Talk about a little bit different side of the conversation than what you guys might have discussed with her. Since hers is she's got the social media expertise.
Yeah. She does.
But awesome, guys. I appreciate your time, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler.
All right.